From a man stuck inside a python to a man swallowed by a whale, check out 10 times humans were found inside animals. Number 10. Hungry python. It was a typical routine day in his village for Akbar Salu-biro from Indonesia when he set off to his fields for a harvest. But when his family found him missing for an unusual length of time, they decided to investigate. They gathered a search party and ventured out into the fields, where they came upon his shed. What they saw inside shocked them to the core. There, slithering around on the floor, was a massive, reticulated python, at least 23 feet in length. There was also a bulge in the python's belly that suggested that it had just had its meal for the day, and a pretty large one at that. Snakes like this swallow their food whole and digest it over the next few days as the food breaks down in their stomach. Fearing that it could be Akbar, the villagers caught the python and split it open. It was indeed their missing friend. The python had crushed him to putty and was in the process of digesting him before the villagers discovered what the hungry serpent had done. We can only assume that the snake had been starving, and it turned out Akbar was an easy meal. Number 9. Scottish tourists make a good snack. Most shark experts will tell you that these apex predators are pretty docile creatures around humans and don't typically attack if they don't have to, yet others beg to differ. In 2019, an unnamed Scottish tourist went missing after he was last seen snorkeling off the coast of the French island of Reunion near Madagascar. The man's wife, completely distraught, was supported by authorities in the best way possible. Helicopters and the Coast Guard tried their best to find him, but had no luck. He was gone. After a few days, a tiger shark was caught in the same area for research purposes, just 4 miles from the lagoon where the man was last seen. When researchers carried out an autopsy of the shark, they found the remains of a human body inside the shark's belly. The wedding ring still on the hand helped the grieving wife determine it was her missing husband. It's unclear whether the man had drowned and then the shark had eaten him, or he was attacked. Either way, it was a horrific incident that left a wife a widow. Hey, before we continue, I just wanted to say thanks for checking out the channel. Give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more videos like these. Number 8. Thumb in a trout. Speaking about sharks and fishy stories, you would never have believed this one if we didn't have the facts collected for you. In June 2012, fisherman 31-year-old Haans Galassi from Colbert, Washington, was enjoying a nice day of fishing in Idaho's Priest Lake during a camping trip. He decided to go wakeboarding, but unfortunately for Haans, it didn't exactly go as planned. His hand had got caught in a loop and tow line, and he couldn't break it free. The line tightened, and he eventually got loose, but when he looked at his hand, he was horrified. 4 fingers were missing, and all he could see was flesh and bone. Now that's gross, but wait till I get to the best, or maybe worst part. Fast forward to September of the same year, when fisherman Nolan Calvin caught a nice fat trout in the same lake. When he began cleaning it, what should he find? Yeah, you guessed it. It was a finger, a thumb to be precise. The thumb was in pretty good condition, and investigators later identified it as belonging to Haans Galassi. When the sheriff asked Haans if he would like his finger back, he promptly declined. He was right, of course. I'd prefer my thumb on my hand and not in a plastic bag staring at me on a shelf. What about you? Would you want it back? Number 7. Foolish villager. Now here's a story that never should have happened. Once again in Indonesia. What is it with these people? I mean, do they like ending up in the stomachs of snakes and crocodiles? Villagers near the Lakar River Delta in Indonesia were warned never go near the crocodile-infested swamps in the area. But one 55-year-old villager, Saifri, decided to be a braveheart and do it anyway. With him was his friend Toha, and as expected, they were attacked by a huge crocodile. Villages ignorant of wildlife conservation went in search of Saifri, and they tried their best, but they couldn't find him. Ultimately, they did find a piece of him, which obviously was a pretty gruesome sight. It was his severed leg lying in the bushes. The villagers managed to catch the crocodile in question, which was a huge 13-footer, mind you. A gigantic jaw crusher like that could easily take down a human being, and to go near it is foolish. He was warned. He went into the animal's territory, and the croc was probably hungry. Sadly, the reptile was killed by the villagers, who proceeded to cut it open and remove the remains of who else but Safri, who they found inside the croc's stomach. I'm inclined to say I told you so, but I'm mortified here knowing how human ignorance leads to such tragedies. Number 6. Shark solves the case. Now, this is one story that can make anyone freak out, but it also helped solve a murder. In 1935, two brothers fishing off the coast of Sydney in Australia caught a tiger shark in their nets. A local aquarium was called in to collect the shark, but something bizarre happened. The shark ended up puking, and to the surprise of the fishermen, out came a human arm. The usual assumption, of course, was that the arm was bitten off by the shark. But upon examination, it was found that the poor shark was innocent. The arm had been severed off by a knife. Obviously, a shark finding a juicy arm in the ocean isn't going to pass up a little snack like that. The presence of a tattoo on the arm helped in identifying the limb belonged to a boxer named Jim Smith, who had tried blackmailing some people, who then murdered him and kept his arm as proof for his partner. The arm was later thrown into the ocean, which was then found by the shark. 3 weeks later, a man named Patrick Brady, an ex-convict and master forger, was arrested for the crime. It just so happened that Brady was the partner of the man whom Smith had been blackmailing. His name was Holmes, and all three were involved in criminal activity when they had the falling out, and Holmes and Brady may have teamed up to get rid of Smith. And to think the poor shark was going to get blamed. Number 5. James and the Whale. James Bartley was a man whose tombstone reads, "The modern-day Jonah." In case you're confused who Jonah is, Jonah was a biblical figure who had so much bad luck that he ultimately got swallowed whole by a whale. James Bartley was also swallowed by a whale, but his story is more like the story of Captain Ahab in Moby Dick. Bartley was a fisherman who owned a whaling vessel in 1891, but one fine day, his vessel was attacked by a huge sperm whale right off the coast of Falkland Islands. Bartley couldn't escape and was swallowed by the whale, which later died because of constipation. Now, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, because it seemed Bartley turned out to be a real pain in the ass for the whale. The whale was caught by Bartley's friends, also whalers, who never really suspected anything. When they began to skin the whale, who should they find inside but Bartley? And wait for it, he was alive! Lucky for him, the whale was caught within 36 hours. Bartley was blinded and bleached by all the stuff inside the whale's stomach. But let me tell you, this story is highly controversial and still a matter for debate whether it really happened, although several swear it did, and the event was even recorded in the British Admiralty of that year. Was he lucky or unlucky? Number 4. Crocs strike again. Now here's a story that happened recently, and this too involves a monster crocodile. These are quite notorious predators. When will humans learn? In June 2020, teen Ricky Ganya disappeared while he was out collecting snails on the banks of the river in Tanjung, Malaysia. Obviously, his family was pretty worried and reported his absence to the local police. But Ricky's aunt had a very morbid revelation. She said that she had seen him snatched away by a huge saltwater crocodile who had got a hold of his leg with its powerful jaws and then dragged him below the surface. The 15-footer croc was found a week later by the search and rescue teams using chicken as bait. The massive beast was sliced open and out tumbled several body parts and clothing. The reptile's autopsy was done in the presence of Ricky's family, who I must say must have been very disturbed at the sight because they could easily identify his remains from the clothes. Number 3, snap your finger off. This next story involves a cute little turtle that was found with a finger in its stomach. A man in St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, had caught an alligator snapping turtle, which is quite a delicacy in those parts. When he was cleaning the turtle to cook it, he found a human finger inside the turtle's stomach. Being a good citizen and all, he turned the finger over to the sheriff's office, who put up a notice to find out who the finger could have belonged to. Now, in case you don't know, let me tell you, alligator turtles can be ferocious where their bite is concerned and could easily take off your finger. But don't be tempted to try. The sheriff was unsuccessful in locating who the missing finger belonged to and took a wild guess that the turtle might have been an exotic pet and decided to eat something more than what he was being given, which resulted in the owner dumping it in the river. Now that is something I just don't agree with. Why would anyone want to keep such animals as pets, clearly knowing that they can be unpredictable? It's their nature, guys. And I wonder if the guy who found the finger in the turtle still ate the turtle. Number 2, skull found inside a tiger shark. In October 2014, fishermen in the Philippines caught a massive tiger shark, and as you know by now, villagers don't think twice about killing animals and sharks they perceive as dangerous. When they began to cut open the shark, they were excited. It was a good-sized shark, almost 700 pounds. But their excitement quickly turned to horror. There, inside the belly of the apex predator, were human remains and even a human skull. The fishermen assumed the victim could have been one of the 2 passengers who were reported missing when a ferry sank in the area a month earlier. The fishermen promptly threw the shark back into the water because their wives could not bear looking at the shark, thinking the victims would return to haunt them. Number 1, lions eat poachers. I've had enough of humans who kill defenseless animals for fun. It's cruel, and most of the animals they're killing are endangered and might not be around for future generations. Now, what if I told you that there were some poachers that were found eaten by lions? Rhino poaching is a very cruel thing because poachers usually kill the animal just to get a small ivory horn, and that's exactly what 2 poachers were up to in the Sibua Game Reserve in South Africa. The reserve owner, Nick Fox, confirmed that the poachers had entered the park, but it was to be the last day of their poaching lives. It seemed the poachers had wandered into a pride of lions, who looked at them with scorn and disdain. And when a wildcat looks at you like that, I only have one word: bye. The lions attacked the men and gobbled them up, which was later reported by forest officers who found their remains near the southeast town of Kenton-on-Sea. A poaching rifle and an axe were also found next to them. This was one viral incident where people didn't really have a lot of sympathy for the poachers, who probably got what they deserved. Thanks for watching. Which one of these stories was the least surprising to you? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!